Have you ever felt like you're being quietly evaluated on a date? Well, you probably are. Today, we're diving into 5 subtle but powerful signs that she's testing your confidence. But here's the thing. These tests aren't about playing games. They're natural ways people gauge compatibility and authentic character. Understanding them will help you stay true to yourself while building stronger connections. Before we dive into the specific signs, let's understand why these tests happen in the first place. These confidence tests aren't manipulative games. They're actually hardwired into our social dynamics. Think of them as natural filters that help people understand who you really are. What's fascinating is that these tests reveal just as much about the person giving them as they do about you. It's like a dance where both partners are learning about each other. The key isn't to pass these tests by putting on an act. Instead, it's about recognizing them and responding with genuine confidence. Think of it like a conversation rather than an exam. The first sign is what I call the opinion challenge, and it's fascinating how subtly it usually appears. Picture this. You're having a great conversation, and suddenly she brings up a contentious topic, maybe about career choices, lifestyle preferences, or even something as simple as whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It seems casual, but she's actually watching how confidently you express your authentic views. Then comes the interesting part. She might purposefully take the opposite stance, even if she actually agrees with you. Why? She's not trying to start an argument. She's observing whether you'll fold under disagreement or maintain your position while staying respectful. This is where many guys slip up by either becoming defensive or completely abandoning their stance to agree with her. What she's really looking for is someone who can confidently hold their ground while showing respect for different viewpoints. The key here isn't about being right or wrong. It's about demonstrating that you can engage in healthy discourse while maintaining your composure. Think of it like a dance between assertiveness and empathy. The second sign is more subtle but equally powerful, the social pressure test. Here's a scenario that might feel familiar. You're on what you think is a casual one-on-one date, and suddenly you run into her friends by accident. Except it's usually not an accident at all. She's creating a real-world scenario to see how you handle social dynamics. What's really interesting is that she's not just watching if you can be charming. She's observing how well you maintain your authentic self while adapting to a new social situation. Can you engage with her friends while still giving her appropriate attention? Do you become a different person under social pressure? The real test here is about consistency and social intelligence. Can you stay genuinely confident whether you're talking to her best friend, or the server at the restaurant? It's like being the conductor of an orchestra. You need to keep all the elements in harmony. Pay attention to how she might create these situations, maybe by suggesting a venue where she coincidentally knows people, or by taking a route past places her friends frequent. It's not manipulative. It's a natural way to see how you fit into her broader social world. The third sign is particularly interesting because it tests how firmly you're anchored in your own value system. Ever notice how she might casually mention her ex's high-paying job, or drop hints about other guys trying to get her attention? This isn't about making you jealous. It's about seeing if your sense of self-worth stays stable, regardless of external factors. Think of it like a tree in the wind. Does it bend and sway with every gust, or does it stand firm because its roots run deep? She might also test your reaction to material things, maybe mentioning someone's expensive car or prestigious job title. The key here isn't about whether you have these things. It's about whether you feel the need to compete or justify yourself. A confident person acknowledges these things without feeling threatened or needing to one-up the conversation. Another subtle version of this test is when she shares her accomplishments or ambitious goals. She's watching to see if you can genuinely celebrate her success without feeling intimidated or trying to overshadow her achievements. It's like a dance of mutual respect and secure self-worth. The real proof of confidence here is maintaining your composure and authentic reactions, regardless of these subtle pressure points. Remember, a truly confident person doesn't need to prove their worth. They simply inhabit it naturally. The fourth sign is actually a series of small tests over time, what I call the consistency check. This is where she's looking for authentic, steady confidence, rather than a temporary display. Let's start with the time gap test, a subtle but powerful indicator. She might deliberately vary her response times to messages, sometimes quick, sometimes delayed. The test isn't about how fast you respond. It's about whether your confidence and communication style remain consistent, regardless of her timing. Weekend patterns are especially telling. Does your behavior shift dramatically when you're potentially competing with other social options? A confident person maintains their natural rhythm. She's watching whether your attention and engagement remain steady, or if they fluctuate based on her availability. Think of it like maintaining your own orbit while being part of a larger solar system. Next up is the plan's flexibility test, a real challenge for many. She might throw in some last-minute changes to plans, not to be difficult, but to see if your confidence wavers when things don't go as expected. Can you adapt without becoming frustrated or overly accommodating? When plans need to change, she's watching whether you can confidently suggest alternatives or respectfully maintain your own schedule when needed. This is about showing you can be flexible without being a pushover, and firm without being rigid. It's like being a bamboo tree, flexible enough to bend with the wind, but strong enough to maintain your ground. Finally, there's the energy match test, perhaps the most subtle of all. She'll likely show different energy levels at different times. The test is whether you can maintain your authentic energy without automatically mirroring hers or becoming needy when she's less engaged. You might notice her interest level seemingly fluctuate. A confident person stays steady in their own energy while being empathetic to her state. This isn't about being emotionally distant. It's about having a stable core that isn't easily shaken by external changes. Think of it like being the steady rhythm in a changing melody. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most crucial. It's all about how you balance priorities in your life. Here's where it gets interesting. She might suddenly become very available and suggest spontaneous plans when she knows you have other commitments. It's not about testing if you'll drop everything for her, quite the opposite. She's watching to see if you can maintain healthy boundaries while still showing genuine interest. Think of it like having a full cup of water you can share without spilling everything. She might also create scenarios where your personal priorities are challenged. Maybe she'll hint at wanting to see you when you've planned gym time or a friend's event. The test isn't about choosing her over everything else. It's about demonstrating that you have a well-structured life and the confidence to maintain it. Pay attention to how she brings up topics about work-life balance or asks about your schedule. She's not just making conversation. She's observing whether you've built a life that has room for a relationship without being empty enough to need one desperately. When discussing future plans or goals, she's looking for signs that you have your own direction while being flexible enough to consider a shared path. It's like being a strong oak tree with branches that can intertwine with another's without losing its core stability. Let's break down exactly what separates confident responses from common mistakes in handling these tests. On one side, we have the traits of genuine confidence that naturally pass these tests, and on the other, the reactive behaviors that often signal insecurity. When faced with any test, your authentic reaction is your best asset. Like a well-tuned instrument, it should play your genuine note every time, whether the situation is challenging or comfortable. Many guys fall into the trap of overcompensating, trying to appear more confident, successful, or interested than they really are. It's like wearing clothes that are 2 sizes too big. It's obvious and uncomfortable. Having clear boundaries isn't about building walls. It's about knowing your values and expressing them with kindness. Think of it as having a well-defined property with a welcome mat at the door. The people-pleasing trap is particularly dangerous because it might work in the short term, but it always crumbles under pressure. It's like building a house on sand. Consistency in your behavior comes from genuine self-awareness, not from trying to maintain an image. It's like your favorite coffee shop, reliably good without trying to be something it's not. Emotional instability often shows up as dramatic shifts in behavior based on her actions. Your emotional state shouldn't be a puppet on someone else's strings. Natural attention balance comes from being present in the moment while staying true to your priorities. Like a skilled DJ who knows exactly when to fade between tracks. When guys forget their self-respect in an attempt to impress or keep someone interested, It's like selling your car for gas money, short-sighted and self-defeating. Emotional stability doesn't mean being emotionless. It means having a steady core that can experience feelings without being controlled by them. Creating different personas for different situations is exhausting and transparent. Eventually, the real you leaks through the cracks. Before we wrap up, let's cement these crucial principles that will help you navigate any confidence test with natural ease. First and foremost, remember that being genuinely yourself will always be more powerful than the best performance you can put on. Think about it. Even the greatest actor gets tired of staying in character, but being yourself? That's effortless and sustainable. Your consistency in behavior, reactions, and values is like a lighthouse in stormy waters. It shows others they can trust in who you are, not just who you're trying to be. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being reliably you. Setting and maintaining healthy boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's about showing that you value yourself enough to protect your time, energy, and principles. It's one of the most attractive forms of self-respect you can demonstrate. And finally, your sense of self-worth should be like your heartbeat, constant and independent of external validation. When you truly value yourself, no test can shake your foundation. After all we've covered today, here's the real secret that ties everything together. The ultimate test isn't about passing her tests at all. Being true to yourself is the master key that unlocks authentic confidence. Think about it. When you're genuinely aligned with who you are, these tests stop feeling like tests and start feeling like opportunities to show your authentic self. That's when you've not just passed the test, you've transcended it entirely. This isn't just about dating, it's about becoming the most genuine version of yourself in all aspects of life. And that, my friends, is the kind of confidence that no test can shake.